Welcome back, everybody. This is the Last Cake Jumper. My name's Carl, and today we're just kind of doing a little chat about one of my favorite Western movies, The Undefeated. It's one of my favorite. See, I can't even really explain why it's a favorite movie of mine. Maybe because, to be fair, I haven't seen a ton of Westerns. But, actually, I take that back. I actually have a pretty good idea why. It's my favorite, well, one of my favorite because of the heroics of John Wayne. Now I know a lot of people get ups in arms when you talk about John Wayne, but growing up, John Wayne, I absolutely love the man. If we had a John Wayne movie in the house, I was watching it, but to be honest, we didn't have that many when I was growing up. But the ones we did have, I probably would have ruined the VHS tapes. Uh, but let me get into John Wayne, the Undefeated, the story, the setting, what's about, and how the story goes. So, the Undefeated takes place after America's Civil War, where John Wayne, a colonel in the Union Army who is leading a cavalry division, um, hands in his resignation. The war's over, they no longer need him. He hands it in, he leaves, and the rest of his men also follow him. And they head out to Texas to go, I think, to either get some cattle or wild horses. They'll round them up and they're going to bring them to sell either back in the United States or wherever. So they're in the process of doing that. On the flip side, at the same time, we see the perspective of a colonel in the Confederate Army, of him packing his house up, his mansion, freeing the couple slaves that he's left back on the plantation, and setting his home ablaze so the Union troops can't take advantage of it. A little spiteful, I will admit, but if they're going to take it anyways, I guess I can't really blame them. I guess I would do the same. I'd burn it too so no one else could take it, but still, you could have done a nice thing and give it to the slaves, but oh well, he did not. So, but him, his family, and the rest of his compadres, I guess I shouldn't even call them compadres. I feel like the men in his unit, I guess, would be the better way to describe it. Um, leave their home in the south. I don't even know where they're from, and they head for the Texas border. They're going to head to Mexico because there's an open invitation for Confederates to come to Mexico to escape the United States. So that's what they do. Somewhere along this point of the journey, John Wayne and his group run into an old friend of his, an Indian man, and his whole band, and they join up to go um, capture some horses. In this Indian band is his stepson, or I guess not a stepson, his adopted son, Blue Boy. Favorite character in the movie? Doesn't have that many lines, but as an 8-year-old kid, I kind of saw myself in him when he was doing all this crazy stuff. Excuse me. But so yeah, that's pretty much that part of the story where they meet up with the Indians and they go um, set out some horses to go sell them at market. Now, is this particularly accurate? I don't know, but it's still a good scene. One of my favorite lines I remember to this day from their meeting is when he meets the leader of the Indians and he's asked, "How's your wife doing?" And he yells back, "Pregnant." And he's like, "Again?" And he's like, "Cold winter." I thought that was the funniest line. I didn't quite understand it at that time, but I just laughed at it. Now I'm only like, oh dang. That must have been a real cold winter. But anyways, I loved that line as a kid, even though I had my innocent mind didn't quite understand what they were talking about. I just thought, oh, that's funny. Okay, whatever. Just kind of like, that's kind of a strange thing, but okay. But now I'm only like, yeah, okay, I get what he's getting at. Anyway, so John Wayne and all of them, to read it myself, are on their way with these horses. I think they hear that they get a better deal down in Mexico, so they get their herd of horses together and drive them down to Mexico to sell to the Mexican government. Along this journey, they run into the colonel's group, and the colonel and his family, or the colonel and his Confederate group, are being surrounded by a whole bunch of bandits. And John Wayne and Blue Boy give them a warning, and they appreciate it. But before anything can be really be done about it, a lone rider comes riding up out of nowhere, and John Wayne and the Confederate colonel go out to meet him. Well, one thing leads to another. The bandit isn't really having any of it, and it turns out into one of my favorite scenes in the movie, an all-out shootout between um, the bandits and the Confederate soldiers. To say the least, the Confederate soldiers do win, but they're bandits, so you kind of don't feel too bad about it. Um, Plus, you get to see John Wayne shooting some bandits, so come on, what's not to love there? So after that's finished up, they the Colonel, the Confederates, and John Wayne, they become, I'm not going to say friends, but a mutual respect between the two, and they carry on with their business. They meet once in a while after that. Um, Colonel has John Wayne over and his men for a party, and it's kind of an odd time. The tension's really there because you got a whole bunch of Union soldiers with a whole bunch of Confederate soldiers. Neither side really likes each other that much. And of course, it resolves into a big old brawl, which is just fun to watch. It goes on for a good while until, unfortunately, the women bring out the shotguns and break up the fight. It was a pretty good time, though. I'm gonna admit, as an 8-year-old kid, I enjoyed that part of the movie quite a good amount. But after this point, they kind of then go their separate ways again. Blue Boy is staying back at the Confederate camp a little bit longer than he should because there's this girl Charlotte that caught his eye, and she kind of has the feelings for him, and he kind of has the feelings for her. And they kind of having a romantic rendezvous. And then you have these two assholes just come out of nowhere, just start beating the man for no good reason besides the fact like he likes the girl. I didn't understand racism back then as a kid. I'm just like, hey, what the hell's going on here? Let the man have the girl. But thankfully, the Confederate colonel comes out and breaks up the fight before it can get too serious, and sends Blue Boy on his way. But still, it was just like, oh dang, what the heck, man? So now we got a bloodied, beat up, bruised Blue Boy just riding on his own, half conscious, to who knows where. Yeah, he's probably gonna be fine, but we don't see him for a while. Um, the Confederate camp keeps making their way to Mexico City, along with John Wayne. He keeps making his way south. Um, the Confederate group gets there first. It's a big celebration, big party. Everyone's having a good time. And then it's revealed it's just a giant trap. The Mexico government pretty much lied about what they're doing, and now the Confederate soldiers are um, under arrest. Reasoning for it is that they want to use them as a bargaining chip to get John Henry's horses, which John Henry had at the time intended to sell to another group that was in the Mexico government. Apparently, I think there's some sort of civil war going on. I don't remember. It's been too long. I need to go back and watch this movie. But an ultimatum is sent to John Henry, or John Wayne. I don't know why I keep calling him John Henry. My apologies there. To John Wayne and his group. And they decide to take the herds. Excuse me. Take the herd of horses and go rescue the Confederates. Because I think it's the American thing to do. I didn't really understand it at the time. I need to go watch this movie again just so I can get some better understanding. But anyways, on the way down there, this other faction in the government sends out their horse riders to go stop them, and it's just John Wayne and his cowboys versus a whole bunch of I think they were French troops, but I'm not sure exactly. If my memory fails me, it might be failing me here. But they're able to shoot their way through, but we do lose a couple of good old boys along the way, sadly. Um, but eventually they do um, get through, and they keep riding towards Mexico City. Meanwhile, in the evening, Blue Boy, he has snuck his way into the city, and um, using his Indian skills. I guess I don't really have any way else to describe it because he wasn't using ninja skills to sneak, but the movie kind of portrayed it as he's using his just sneak abilities. I guess it couldn't be, didn't doesn't have to be Indian, but I just thought it was kind of cool. Indian was silent, sneak around, cool ability of his. But he was able to get into the city, take a few guys, I think, rescue Charlotte, and the two just get whisked away in the night to somewhere. Who knows? So they're up in a bell tower watching everything that's going down um, when John Henry and his cattle and his horses arrive to save the day. So that's pretty much the movie. I pretty much spoiled a 70-year-old movie, 60-year-old movie. My apologies there. Sorry for the rambling. But it's a movie that I really enjoyed as a kid that I kind of just want to make a video and talk about. Um, I think I really need to actually someday sit down, rewatch this movie, and do more in-depth analysis of it. Because it's a really great movie. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend John Wayne's The Undefeated. Really great film, and I hope you enjoy. But hey, thank you for listening to this ramble. This has been Carl the Last Skate Jumper. I hope you have a good time. Take care. Bye.